back to another installation of the Doughboys podcast. I'm your host, Flipping It with Cisco, and today I am joined by two lovely, studly co-hosts, Josh and Logan. What's up, guys?
What's up?
How's it going?
Oh, just hanging out. So in this edition of the Doughboys podcast, we had just wrapped up Turkey 5. So I think it would be a good place to start off and kind of go over how Turkey 5 went for each of us. So Logan, how was your Turkey 5? How was it different from last year? And did you learn anything this year?
Yeah. So real quick, in case anyone doesn't know what Turkey 5 is, it's the 5-day period from Thanksgiving through Cyber Monday. And why it's important is it's generally the busiest shopping season of the year. So for buying your inventory, if you're an Amazon seller, and then also for getting your sales as well. So yeah, it went good for me. It started off a little bit hectic because on day one, Keepa decided to crash in the morning, and I started freaking out. But
Yeah, he definitely texted both me and Josh,
yep,
guys, keep us down. And literally 10 minutes right after that, I finally got out of bed and got on my computer, and it was working just fine. So maybe
yeah, I
it was just a
overreacted.
solo event for you.
I overreacted. But yeah, Keepa came back up, and we were able to get back to work. I set a couple sales records. So on Black Friday, we did like $12,000 top line. And then on Cyber Monday, my biggest day ever, we hit like $18,000 in sales. So that was awesome. We, however, did not buy as much inventory as I wanted to. And that's definitely like on me. The big problem that I had, and I just now took care of it, I should have took care of it 2 weeks ago, was I had like 20 grand tied up in one product. And I needed to liquidate it. So I finally did that, got the money back. Should have done it beforehand, though. We ended up still being able to spend like 35,000, so that was cool. Yeah, definitely learned a lesson. This is my third Turkey 5, and I need to have more money ready next year.
Yeah,
That's what went for me.
And when you say liquidation, like what do you mean? Are you losing money on these ASINs? Are you?
Yeah. So I am taking an L on this ASIN, and that's another thing. When you see those big orange bars, it's not always success. I posted on Monday that I was going to have a big sales day, but it was going to be, not all of it was going to be profitable. So on this ASIN, I'm losing like $10 a unit.
How many units?
I have like 190 units. So that's definitely a big burn. But at some point, you need to just liquidate your ASINs and get the money back and invest in better products. I don't want to have that 20 grand sitting there hoping that it's one day going to recover. Let's say I invested 20 grand in, I'm going to get 18 grand back. I'm going to have the 18 grand back and invest it in 25% return products rather than just having it sit there, hopefully making me money someday. So I'm liquidating, getting that cash back to put into better inventory.
Nice. Keep it moving. Don't sit on it too long because it can definitely get worse. If you let it accumulate, it'll get storage fees. So on and so forth.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Josh, you look a little doughier now that I'm looking at you after Turkey 5. How'd you spend yours?
Yeah, I was down in Florida on vacation with my family, and I was weighing in at about 209 before I went down there, and I came back and it was at 220. So I put on some dough.
Got some dough. Dough boys.
Different kind.
There you go.
How about you, Cisco? How'd yours go?
It wasn't as I would have expected it to go. I definitely got a little impatient and blew my load the first couple of days. So once Cyber Monday came, I was kind of just sitting there twiddling my fingers trying to figure out what I can do to kind of get more capital to kind of capitalize on the opportunity that Turkey 5 gives us and what December gives us in general.
What were some solutions you came up with?
Good question. Glad you asked. So I reached out to family essentially for private loans that I can work with them, and then we'll set a set amount to be able to return those funds. What we ended up working out was that we'll return those funds within 2 to 3 months. And then I also talked to my wife to kind of use other funds that we have available that aren't necessarily for business, but it's there, it's available. We can potentially use it to, again, seize the opportunity and strike while the iron is hot. So those are some of the solutions that I came up with, and that's how we're going to succeed during this month.
Scared money doesn't make money.
Scared money doesn't make money.
Yeah.
That is
So
100% facts.
quick follow up question though. This is your third turkey five or second?
Second.
Second. Okay.
Ooh.
If this was somebody's first turkey five, would you recommend that they do things like take out loans or take more out from their savings?
Um, if they were just starting like 2 3 months ago, I'd probably say no, because it's an easy way to kind of fall in a position that you were in where you had an ASIN and you had to liquidate it and take it out,
Yep.
right? And if you're just starting out, you haven't built up that portfolio of inventory where, yeah, it's an L, but it doesn't impact you as much as it were if you were a new person and only have, you know, 20 ASINs, right?
Hmm.
Um, so if you're brand spanking new, no, I probably wouldn't. I'd probably just say it's your first Q4. Do what you can with the products with what you have, and don't risk too much. Now, if you've been doing it for a little bit longer and have good friends that have kind of guided you that have been in the game a little bit longer than you and that you trust, then I would kind of take that risk as long as you trust the community that you're with, you trust yourself, and you feel that you have the knowledge to make these purchases. But I would definitely, you know, tread carefully.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I always tell newer sellers do not leverage any kind of credit for at least 6 months, probably preferably at least a year, because you need to have that good foundation before you start taking risks and spending money you don't have. And savings are a little bit different, but I actually just a few weeks ago had this exact scenario with one of my coaching students. He was telling me he had like 20 grand available to spend, but he's a pretty new seller, less than a month. And it can be really tempting to drop that 20 grand on all these Black Friday, Cyber Monday deals. That I told him to take half of it and forget about it. Forget you have this $10,000. Wait till you have some more experience. You're better at reading the data, making purchasing decisions, and then we can come back and spend that 10 grand in savings that you have.
Yeah, 100%. And when you're new, it in a way it's kind of like gambling because you don't know what you don't know, right? You don't
Yeah.
know what knowledge you're missing to make these decisions. So it can be a crapshoot. Like I'll say I'll be honest. I got super lucky when I first started. Like 2 months in, we got the chlorine rush, and like I was dropping thousands of dollars on chlorine, but it was literally instant sales. You
Yeah, it was
list
crazy.
it and gone. So
Just printing money.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I feel like that's what kind of started the trend of where we are now and why there's so much competition out there and why there's so many online gurus in the space now because they were able to print money with chlorine, but there hasn't been a product like that since.
You can get to the cashier before it, like
Yeah.
without you selling out your entire
It
cart.
was gone.
So yeah, so that's like how Amazon goes though. You find these gold mines and then you're golden, but in between that you're just panning water.
If you don't know what you're doing, yeah.
That's why it's important to focus on products that sell year round, building a replenishable inventory base, and then also capitalizing on those temporary opportunities when they show up.
Exactly, 100%. And be ready to pivot.
Yep.
You know, whenever something stales up, like get out of it before, and you end up taking the L, and then you can just hopefully get out of it.
Be flexible, be versatile.
Yeah.
Yep.
See those trends and stay on top. Don't just forget about your ASIN. Now, eventually, some will recover, but at that point, you've been sitting on it for 4 months. So
There's a temptation in the Amazon business to be, because it's so scalable, to just do that quickly. But you have to keep in mind that you have to still build your business organically.
Yeah.
Logan's a really good person to ask on that because he does it slower. It's still fast in comparison to any other business, but you still need to go at the pace that you're able to go on so that your mistakes don't end you.
Hyper
Like
growth
what you
is
did.
very dangerous.
So there's a topic in the space, the hustle culture, right? So we hear a bunch of people on TikTok, on Instagram, talking about that you have to hustle, you have to grind, you have to spend every waking hour just grinding it out. And I kind of wanted to get your take on the hustle culture and if you guys think it's toxic or if it's something that's necessary to kind of get you to the next level of success.
Yeah, so I think you definitely do need to put in work to become more successful. It's not going to happen if you don't put in the hours, right? But at the end of the day, I think everyone needs to figure out what looks like for them. You need to be really self-aware of how many hours you can take, how often you need to take breaks or whatever. Like Mr. Beast, for example, I'm a really big fan. Shout out Mr. Beast. But Mr. Beast, he talks about his like work routine is basically he just works like nonstop for 11, 12 days or whatever, and then he can sense that burnout coming, and then he'll just take like a half day or a full day completely off. But the days that he's on, he's working all day every day.
Yeah. So, how do you do it for yourself? So, obviously, you're a guy who's running a bunch of different things, right? You
Yeah.
have Alpha Candle, you have your Amazon business, you have all the VAs that you have to manage, you have your friends and family. How
Yeah.
do you balance everything out, or what are your triggers that tell you that okay, I'm burning out?
Yeah. So it's a lot easier to manage a lot of different things if you have a really good team. I'm a big proponent of outsourcing, and especially things that you don't like to do. When you're only doing the tasks that you're really good at and enjoy, it becomes easier to do them and work longer hours. So being able to outsource things is super important, and I've been able to outsource a lot of aspects of my business, so that's definitely super helpful. But I would say I lean more towards the side of Mr. Beast and just being able to work longer, fuller days if I need to, and then when I can sense that like I need a break, I can just take a day off or whatever. I'm not like I need to stick to an 8 hour workday kind of guy.
Yeah,
I'm just if there's work to get done, I'm gonna do it.
I
And
feel
are
you.
you a Monday to Friday,
No,
Saturday, Sunday
no,
off?
no. I don't understand how people just take it two
That's
full
so
days off and
funny.
not do anything.
I'm definitely a Saturday, Sunday off type of guy.
Hmm.
Kind of.
Tell us more about that.
Okay. Well, for me, the times that I actually have the where I get to spend the chunk of the time with my family is typically on the weekends. But also say that because throughout the week I work a ridiculous amount. I feel like at least. I typically wake up at 6 a.m., get my daughter ready to go to school, and then from there I do some Amazon stuff, and then I hop into my 9 to 5. Pick up my daughter from the bus stop, and then in between everything, I try to fit in some Amazon work, and then after work, it's straight family time for about 3 4 hours, and then again I'm back on the computer doing whatever needs to get done when it comes to the business, from 10 to midnight or sometimes 1 a.m. And so I'm working between 12 to 14 hours a day, and then sleeping and spending time with my family in between. So for me, I feel like I've earned the weekends to be primarily focused on family and leisure activities. Maybe catch a game, USA versus Netherlands. Let's go.
I have a question. What time are you getting up? You're getting up at 6 a.m. Monday to Friday. What time do you get up on the weekends?
It depends. If I know I have to send out like a shipment, then I'll prioritize waking up at like 7:30. If I don't, and I know I can just kind of have a leisure day, 9:30.
I ask that because I think for you, there's when Monday rolls around, okay, I'm back. I'm waking up at 6 and I'm grinding every day, like you said. I'm working hard. And then someone like Logan, who his work day is a little bit more there's a little bit more spontaneity in it. For some people, that can be hard because they can be working and then, oh, I've just worked so hard, I just want to take a break, and then another day of break. They don't know when to stop. So that's hard to have that composure and control. And Logan has an immense amount of that. So not everyone can do that. The Monday to Friday, 2 days off, I'm back, I'm going on Monday, keeps a routine of they don't just slide into slacking from this hustle culture. I think there's some of that in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cisco, I want to go back to a point you made. You used the word earn and how like you feel you've earned those days off on weekends, and I think that's super important. Whatever work style you have, I think it's really important to earn your rest. That rest is going to feel a lot better if you put in a solid day's work. If you can stamp your name on the day, then you should feel like you can enjoy that rest a lot more.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. You'll definitely have, and it kind of goes back to when you start a business and when you work for a business, right? Like when you work in your own business, you have a much larger sense of pride because it's something that
Yeah.
you've kind of built with your own mind, your own fingertips in this case, because most of our work is done on laptops or any other business, right? Like even with Josh and his coaching, like when he goes out and sets a good training program and he goes out there and executes it with his team, there's a sense of accomplishment because it's something that he created himself. And
Yeah.
so I think that kind of is in line also with taking those leisure times. And that's also why I go to Disney like 3 times a year, because I earned it.
That seems like an understatement. I feel like you go more than 3 times a year.
I would say no, yeah, about 3 times a year. I think the last 2 years we've gone 3 times each year.
Okay.
If you go
Before
anymore,
that, it's
you're
either
gonna
once.
buy a condo
twice.
down there.
Yeah, we've definitely thought about it and played with the idea,
Yo.
and it's
That's
still
crazy.
So-
in the works.
Josh, what does your work style look like?
So first of all, I want to say I'm a big proponent of putting in a hard day's work because in this day and age where people are taking melatonin to help those sleep or they're struggling to sleep, I think a big part of that is them not working hard enough. That's a bit of a dangerous statement, but when you work yourself to exhaustion or you work really hard, then you go to sleep because you're tired. Your body needs to rest. It's saying you've worked hard, you need rest. So I think that's a big help in that. I also know that I'm like Cisco. I think I'm like you. When I work hard, then I want to play hard. And I need a really good balance of that. I think I'm flexible. I'm flexible in how that can work. I can be a Monday to Friday, 2 days off kind of guy. And I can work on Logan's schedule of being flexible. I'm good at following people in that pattern. But I think that I lock in and I get very, what's the word I'm looking for? Very stubborn. I get stubborn with work. And no, this is going to get done now. Then I'm off and I can relax.
Do you have times and periods like in your mind of, okay, these are like work hour times and I have to crush it no matter what, and then the adverse that you're like, okay, I can take it easy because it's slow time, or how does your mind process that?
College taught me when the deadline is, I'll push it off until right then, and then that's non-negotiable work time because your back's up against the wall, and that's really good motivation for getting
You're a
something done.
procrastinator is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's a procrastination thing. Now that's not the best work you can do.
Yeah.
So I think I block out times for me to do work. Now whether it gets done during that time or not is dependent on what people are around me. You know, if a friend needs to have a conversation, I will sacrifice work for that because I'm very much a people and relationships first type of person. But I'm still getting into the work and business side of things, so I'm figuring out that workload. I'd say I'm new to that, so I'm learning something right now.
Balancing everything out, yeah, for sure. So what's
Yeah.
the verdict, guys? Is the hustle culture needed or is it toxic?
I almost want to say it's polarizing at this point. I would say there's so many people that aren't working at all, and there's a lot of people that are working maybe too much. Like when Logan and I talk about Richie Hustles. I mean, that
Shout
guy,
out Richie Hustles.
that guy, when you want to talk
Grinded
about
for a
hustling
while.
to a toxic level, I don't know how he has time with his family. Like I just hear all the things he's doing, and he's starting more. I don't know
He's
how
an
he does it.
animal.
I mean, it's different.
He is the definition of hustle culture.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
would say I would say this. I'm going to reference the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Shout out Stephen Covey. You have to respect PC balance. If you want to know what that is, look up the book. Go Google it. But it's the relation between if you buy a lawnmower, that lawnmower is going to mow your lawn and take care of your grass when you use it. But if you don't put oil in it, get it maintenance checkup, then that lawnmower is going to get old, it's going to get rusty, it's going to break down, it's not going to cut your grass well. Then you have to go buy a whole new lawnmower. Whereas if you just put in little bits of work here and there on it, oil change it, that lawnmower is going to last you years and years, and you're going to get good grass cut. You have to do that with yourself, right? You have to do oil changes, you have to put in gas, you have to do maintenance sometimes, and it's going to cost you. It costs you money, and it costs you a little bit of time, but then you put in really good, really consistent work.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to find a good balance of everything. I think that kind of goes for life as well, right? Like if you want to have a good balance in life, whether it be with work, family, friends, whatever it may be, you have to water the plant everywhere,
Yeah.
right? And you have to fill it up equally across the board. So
Yep.
I definitely echo that.
So hustle culture is toxic without balance.
Hustle culture is toxic without knowing where the burnout is for yourself. I think it takes a lot of looking in the mirror, because the person that you see in the mirror is your superhero, and at the same time is your worst enemy. And you have to have a self awareness of who you are and what your limits are, because at that point it can be toxic. Like the way that Richie hustles, grinds it out, like I have no idea like how he does it,
Right.
and how he's pumping out so much content. But I'm sure if we sat down with him, there's a part of his life that isn't getting watered enough, right? And maybe it's his health, maybe it's a relationship with friends, because in his videos he spends a lot of time with his family. So I believe, in my opinion, he probably meshes the two together, family time with the content, right? And that's how he's able to kind of water those two at the same time. But
Dangerous.
if you grind so hard on one aspect, there's something being left out and something kind of being neglected, typically.
Yeah.
But
So if you said you have to know where the burnout line is, that kind of sounds like you're saying you have to burn out to know where that line is. Do you need to burn out once to figure out where your line is?
I don't think you need to burn out once. I've burned out in the past, but I think you just have to kind of be self-aware and know where those lines are, and kind of see those traits coming along, right? Like if you're finding it tough to wake up in the morning, and you're just kind of dragging your feet, doing everything half speed, then you're kind of at the burnout stage. So find that point and figure out what refills your cup to get you back to where you need to be. And that's why me and my family go on different vacations. And when I'm on vacation, I'm on vacation. Like I'm in there. Like
You're not
working.
forcing at Disney World.
No. And you've asked me that, and then other people have asked me that too. And they're like, there's gold mines in Disney. I was like, it just goes over my head. Like I'm there shopping at Disney for myself. Okay, you should see the collection that my wife has of her Mickey Mouse ears.
It's kind of
And
cute.
it's funny because the WandaVision ears resell for like $120 now.
Yo,
And I didn't buy any.
Disney's a gold mine, man.
Yeah.
You could pay for your whole vacation by just doing some sourcing.
Yeah, but then you could also not enjoy any of your vacation
True.
time if you're just sourcing.
And what you're saying is, that you need that trip to be like kind of a reset.
Yeah, 100%. That's why I'm going for New
There
Year's.
might be
because
monetary
Q4 is
value
really-
there, but not everything's about monetary value.
Yeah.
Yep.
Gotta water all the plants.
the greats who grind the hardest say you need to rest.
Do they? I
Yeah.
know Logan tells me to get enough sleep every day. I never do.
Sleep is the foundation to everything, guys.
Yeah.
Shout
I'll
out to
talk
that.
about you need to work more than you probably think you do, but we need to rest every night. We need to get high quality sleep. Sleep is the foundation to everything. Get a good night's rest.
And it is that time of the day for Logan's weekly quote.
Let's get it. Stay focused, stay purposed, but never forget to enjoy your life. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.
Go to Disney. Peace.